talk about tough off spawn. Scarce and on Veer have had their work cut out for them here.
My
Yeah,
thing
just looking at this one, 3 eliminations for Scare, 2 of its teammates down, looking
still
like
2 more games
he's going to be the hero of this early game.
not over
Valuable
yet.
Storm Surge, we know that is basically
I'm trying
currency
my
to be able
best,
to
but
get
it
around the
just
lobby for
glitched.
free. As we tune in,
Be right
Flooded
back.
Frogs, Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual. Not the day anybody has expected to see so far with the performances, but Peterbot really keeping his entire trio in this game after game after game. It's honestly, I feel like, going to be a scary sight when they finally all come online as a full trio.
Let's see if they can do it. There is yet to be a game where Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual smash the early game and really put themselves in a great position for the end game, right? Game 1 was high surge thresholds across the board, followed by game 2, and then we of course seen how game 3 and 4 have now played out. A couple early game eliminations, really setting them back round after round, but Acorn, Agers, and Boyo have not necessarily had that problem here. They seem to have a much different story unfolding for them. They're barely holding on to first place, though. 3-point spread here between themselves, Muzz, Japco, and Rise. So very close competition up at the top.
You see nobody over towards the bird. That's usually where Pikes, Jojo Fish, Oxy, Taram, Rekko, and Dummy land. So nowhere for Poyo to get Storm Surge early on. Zone. Not really too far away for Rise, Yapko, and Muzz, so they're going to be able to take their time very, very early on towards Shattered Span before they start to make the rotation on over. Regardless of their mobility, there's multiple launch pads that they can use to try to close the distance very, very quickly. Grab one of those mountains just north of Seaport City if they want. They have all the choices, and only 3 points down from first place. I feel like they got to make sure they make the end of the day count.
Yeah, this is it. Muzz could be working his way slowly but surely towards the 4X. Can he do it and take a Rise? Japco along for the ride.
Clicks, Batman Boogie,
Clicks,
and
Batman
Yamso
Boogie, and
here.
Yamso are still very much in the conversation as well for the team that's on its way. What do we think about their performance overall? We haven't really seen anything super outstanding, right? Nothing extremely pop off. However, they've been slow and steady.
Yeah, my only real question for them coming into this tournament is their ability to consistently get Storm Surge. But I think it's kind of the same around the entirety of the lobby. It's not as easy as anybody would have hoped. Kind of puts teams
There's Jojo,
like Jojo, Oxy, and Pikes in this
Oxy
situation.
here.
Talked about them kind of
There's
contesting over
Redbot,
towards the
Nut,
bird.
and
They're moving
Ohnium.
further and further west.
There's some.
They don't want to be one of those teams that's just in somebody else's path, kind of getting farmed for damage. They're trying to create their own story here. Liam, Nut, and Fredbot, first time finalists as well, really trying to come back, have a great day performance to close it out. Repeat it there for day 2. Liam's moving up layer by layer, trying to go on the offensive.
Got Jojo.
Jojo's down below. He gets
Redbot
separated. The full trio pounds
Redbot
onto
just
him
took
as
out
a solo.
Jojo.
Quick and easy work, taking him apart from his team.
Hey, let's not forget Liam, Nut, and Fredbot is the same trio that took down Peterbot, right?
True.
Cold there in the last game, really setting themselves up, or setting them up for a pretty tough spot. And this is where they shine best, this is where they perform best. Third party, though, puts a couple shots, and meanwhile, Kanata, Rapid, and Bolts here have their work cut out for them right now as well. This is a storm fight outside of Demon's Dojo, the first that we've seen them really lag behind this far back. This is up against Victor V, Chimp, and Skittles, so they've kind of changed up their rotation as well, veering out towards the mountains as opposed to going straight for the beeline to zone.
There's Rapid, Bolts, and Nada here.
I can see them kind of returning back towards the north. Converge on location to try to get some extra loot. Kanata, Rapid, Bolts. It's not a situation they want to be in.
Crazy.
So far in his zone with it pulling in, so they're quickly just going to try to get some damage, move on out.
Other side.
Blake
just got taken out.
Kind of the IGL, leader of the trio, Cooper and Vidil. He's the one that kind of separates himself from the rest of the team. So that way they can cover more ground, so they can get Storm Surge. And it's something that I think has been working well for them. Not necessarily super impressive where they have the most numbers in the lobby, but they're doing just enough to stay ahead of every single zone in terms of the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously helps you taking a big victory royale, right? Especially one that had
There's
a
Curly,
nice amount of elimination.
Curly,
So
Noxy, and
had they
Virgo.
not dropped their first game with a
There's Alvaro
17th
G
place, they'd
Skater,
be
which
very much up towards the top.
Skater and
Just
Dash,
shows you
they
one
clutched
game
up
can really
last
shake things
game.
up. Even this
They
late
game
onto
4 where they
game
got
number 1 here.
I think 3rd, which was cool. That was good.
Noxy, Curly, Virgo. Here at the Hopeful Heights still have the attention of another team nearby.
I don't know.
Have to be
There's
careful
Chimp.
on their rotates out. Meanwhile, what's going on over here? Possess not at the moment.
I don't know what's happening.
They get an elimination. Almost thought I saw maybe Chimp was somebody that he took down.
Yeah, I think Chimp
Judging,
Skittles
yeah.
trio.
Full
Cold.
trio, 3 eliminations, 67 points.
Gold getting elimination.
Kind of a
Have you
blessing
seen
for
the
them
chat?
since they land at the
still
so
28
far north of the map.
teams,
I would love to see after the
81
day ends like who
players.
has the most distance covered, because with the way some of these zones have been, I would say they
It's
could
cool
be
Peter
one of those
by
teams.
Rituals.
Yeah, there haven't been any northern zones. This
Focus
one's
is
going a little
got
bit
it
more
now.
to the west.
Peterbot,
But a lot
Bucky
of the
just got
zones have
that
been,
elimination.
I don't know,
They're
fairly
okay. They're not
center
doing
or
that
like
great,
Seaport.
but I'm gonna check
Definitely
out
not in the north side
the
though. We know that.
stats and all that stuff.
Peterbot, Ritual, and Cold. What are they up to now? They find Seek, Osid, and seems like G Monster. Their backs against the wall, and already that signature trio breakup right here. Peterbot on his own side, Ritual and Cold playing a completely separate angle. It's like clockwork every single time.
And Cole just making take it to a downward approach. Tree's kind of blocking him off just a little bit, but he's just following G Money, trying to make sure that if he runs away, he's not going to get an advantage in this fight, but he does find a way back with Seek and his team. Osid just a little bit farther away, but Peterbot just quickly shadowing them on the other side. He has the piece control, spots them all out on the other side, and he's kind of picking and choosing his battles, waiting for his teammates to cause a little bit of distraction before he tries to make that move.
He just knows better too, to take that left camera peek, not to put themselves in a bad situation. Peterbot doesn't have the luxury, I would say, right now to really take a risk. I like that he's putting respect on these trios right now, because these early game fights have been a little tough for them to kind of navigate. The fight goes on, lasting longer than I think we'd expect, giving more time for Dummy's trio to start coming on in and decide if they want to take the fight here. Gotta be quick.
The sound that'll haunt me. The Typhoon Blade underneath. Cold's not going to fall for that bait. Lands a good shot, but the splash is coming out on the other side. Instant heals to try to get them back up to fighting shape. Got to imagine that third party now beginning to shoot shots in their direction. Presence is going to be known. You see Peterbot just trying to overbuild on that outside and push them away from that water sprite so they can't benefit from those heals. And he's going right back into old territory.
Oh, look at that. Finds an angle here. Great tag there, but recognizes G Monster still somewhere lurking about. Osid's gonna fall here. Finally, one of the trio gets caught out. It's Cold who makes the big move, and then the second follow-up as well. Now the third party starts to collapse in. They want a piece of the action here. Peterbot in the box. He's clutched up enough today. His team's gonna have to carry the rest now. And Ritual does just that. But it's a 3v2 situation going on now. Oh yeah, they spotted them out. They see the res coming through. They actually stick it all the way too.
They got it. They got the
back in
res.
this game now.
They somehow still got the res.
Splash it up. Yep, they are going to use it. Everything coming out now. They're right back into fighting action here.
Yeah, they had splashes, water sprites. Really no loss there. That trio kind of has no choice but to disengage on out, especially when you know who actually won this fight. I don't want to bite off more than you can chew. Kind of take whatever damage that you were able to get and disengage on out. You see them immediately moving their way in towards zone. Ooh. Ritual, Cold, Peterbot. Moving towards the west where you got Havoc and Sandman. They need to be careful. You don't want to get caught off guard, especially when there's a huge numbers mismatch.
Look at this. Fight breaking out here. Things looking a little messy for Oliver, OG, Dash, and Skater. They've already got the trio elimination from the drop pretty much wrapped up in the bag. That was Noah W plays this trio. And this is a... I don't know if it's a fight for greed, pride, or positioning, but someone needs it clearly. Skater, Oliver, and Dash, I would beg to say they probably don't necessarily need the
Polio
damage,
just took
but
out Sales. Still 27
still
teams,
sticking around.
71 players.
Yeah, with a few
Ocus,
inconsistent
Bucky,
games on the day so
Ocus,
far, I feel
Bucky,
like they're just trying
Skater,
to replicate what worked for them in that last, where they were able to kind
took out
of
Sales.
pull up big, get a third place, points that they need. You can see with the loot that they're able to gather, just kind of stagger themselves back. The zone's not doing too much damage this early on in the game. They have the ability to take their time, but they have a race to the other side of the mountain. You don't want to be the team stuck inside that tunnel, getting targeted by everybody else. But you see action kind of flowing throughout the map here. 75 players still left alive for Bugha Threats and Aviv. It's going to be a good opportunity, not too far away from their drop spot at Seaport City, for them to get surge on that team that is right below them, follow them in towards zone or kind of beat them to punch, and then be able to look back.
you just give a little credit to Oliver OG. Just good map awareness, right? Recognizing the tunnel there, kind of playing a little bit of a different rotate instead of burning mass to go up and over.
This is good
Potentially
play
getting
by
chased out.
Bugha, Aviv, and Threats. I think Clicks is still in the game. There they are. Acorn, Agers,
Island starting to populate here, Jacob.
Clicks,
We got
Yamzo,
Boyo,
Batman,
Agers, and
Bugha.
Acorn, the first to the punch.
They're close
But
to
Clicks,
Island.
Yamzo, and
Clicks
Batman,
and
Bugha might
Yamzo,
have
they're
their
trying
say
to go
here
for
as
it,
well.
but Polio's there too. Yeah, Batman, Bugha, they're all
Look like
going
they're
on
already
top. I
throwing
think
their
they're going
orbs up
toward the
there. They
island.
might be one of the first teams, but they got to make sure that they throw their herbs right, because
Batman,
exactly
Bugha
this will
just beamed
happen.
Acorn out of the
A little
air.
bit too
Now
short,
he's getting
you end up
beamed.
gliding,
They didn't
beamed on your
go.
way up, or just falling down altogether. Batman, Bugha not really able to follow up on that damage, but Ager's slow to rotate on over as well. But unfortunately enough, a full trio and a couple other teams in the lobby not able to get the knock that they need. So Polio, Agers, and Acorn will make it to the top of the mountain, but it's going to be short-lived. It looks like the boss, Shogun X, entered the frame to get a knock.
Interesting turn of events there. So I'm curious, are they going to commit to this at this point? Oh my gosh, Shogun X is here to play. More damage coming in.
Shogun X is
Agers
trying to do more damage to them than anybody else in the lobby this game.
Clicks was going to
Yeah,
go for
Agers
it. but
needs to
they-
pull a thread here.
Yo,
That's what
I,
he's trying to do
I don't
here.
know
Get the
about that.
pressure off the Acorn. Finish up this boss quickly now.
Interesting to see like Clicks, Batman, Bugha, and Yamzo really not move too far away, right below them on the mountain. So they're just trying to hope other teams rotate in that direction. On top of a mountain of their own, Muzz, Rise, Yapko still taking advantage of any slow teams to rotate from the north side through brutal boxcars. And this is something they've been doing almost all day long, whether they got the zone or not. They're just kind of slow to rotate, making sure that they take advantage of all the other slower rotating teams on their way there, making sure to maintain elevation throughout the course of their rotations as well.
See if they can do that into the end game, though. We have yet to see a team really challenge for height, which is very interesting. You would think in finals we'd see one of those crazy all-out breakout battles for high ground. However, these first 4 games we've watched, one team's gone up there, never looked back, pretty much. That's how it's been so far.
Especially with some of these zones, you know, the open water ones, you really don't have an opportunity to look up, especially with so much chaos going down below. Sphinx, Cooper, Vidil. Slow rotation after slow rotation from Mass Metals. They haven't had to move too far, but now with an open opportunity, they've been kind of able to survey the land this whole time while they were up on top of the mountain. So they know the perfect rotation. The instant the zone pulls on over, they're just going to try to creep their way on the other side of Foxy Floodgates and kind of set up, knowing that teams are going to have to come from the north and the east if they want to find their way in.
More trouble for Peterbot, though. Look at this. HP running pretty low right now. Pressure coming in from a fresh trio. Fredbot and Liam just continue to ask for more trouble here. Liam falls to the hands of Cold, though.
But he just
Oh,
went
but the edit
Cold
comes
just
through.
got
Fredbot's here, ready to
almost just
fight.
got-
Big damage coming in now. Telling you, this team has really proven that they are great at fighting. However, Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual seem to be pretty fired up right now. No fear. Oh, they're back for vengeance, back for more. Very great pickup right there for Peterbot now. And look at this, they are racking up points right now.
It almost even looks like there's 2 teams on the outside of the zone, looking in that direction, trying to see how they can take part, get some surge for their own before they even rotate out. But you got to be careful, because almost unscathed, it's Peterbot, Ritual, and Cold as they make their way on out. Clixie, Drupbot, and Prez, they're ready to take the challenge.
First of all, you saw the elimination feed. You know exactly who this is. Talk about heart on Clixie to go ahead and key Ritual right there, not knowing which of the three, obviously, he was going to be going up against. This is finals, man. Teams are brave. Everyone looking to make their mark here. Oh, no. Peterbot so quick, though. Traps one. Punishment comes in, though. Both teams are hurt.
Luckily his teammate was there to alleviate some of that pressure. Almost full box by Peterbot right before our very eyes. But a difference this time around in this fight, they're staying as a full trio down below. There's more and more teams coming and rotating in this direction. Sales being one. He gets the knock on the Sandman. Cold being back down as well. 1,600 damage above the threshold. This is more about pride than anything else. As you see, even more teams, Monster, coming outside of the zone, making their way in. This is becoming more and more of a dangerous situation for anybody to be in, no matter how confident you are, no matter how much you think you have the upper hand.
Yeah, Peterbot's just thinking these teams are absolutely desperate right now for surge, so he's just going to go ahead and push in, making quick work of that very damaged trio there. More eliminations adding up now. This is the most I think we've seen of any team this early into the mid-game now. Approaching near 10 if they haven't already cracked it. Liam still alive, by the way, from that very injured Fredbot and Nut, team now. They're just down to one. And, when you have a player escape like that, this is why the surge stays active, right?
Just one of those real tough situations. It does look like this time around they're immediately trying to rotate towards the edge of the zone.
I don't like
not beeline their way in towards the middle. They know the next one's going to be about a 50-50 as we look around the lobby. Some teams in close proximity, some using their numbers, their distance to their advantage to try to get the number that they need for surge. 113 though for Muzz, Rise, and Yapko. Not feeling as comfortable as they did in the past couple games where they were able to kind of go from shadow span, the zone moving on that side of the map, maintain their position on high ground without really too much risk of anybody taking them down from below.
I'm noticing though, Muzz's team only seemed to be about 100 above the surge, so you really see the difference in not having that ultimate high ground, not having zone favor, right? All of a sudden now, the dynamic starting to kind of change here a bit. Boyo, Acorn, and Agers do have the high ground here. They've managed to, I guess, resituate themselves. It was looking a little worse for wears a bit ago. Boyo with the medallion in hand, though. Shogun's medallion is so powerful. We've seen a lot of great highlights. Some of our most exciting end games have come to the hands of whomever has been holding the medallion. So I'm excited to see what Boyo can do.
Boyo got...
And just got to rotate their way. Just one orb, they'll make their way in zone. You already see teams like Clix, Batman Booga, Yamzo, Peterbot Cold, Ritual. They already have their spots in towards the zone, so they know they're just going to do their best to not make it easy for any of these other teams to rotate their way in.
Still got 5 people. Appreciate it.
It does look like they're just trying to pick that perfect spot. Wait for some of these other teams on the low ground, position themselves, box up, and then with those void maps, they can try to void their way to a little bit of elevation.
And Batman Booga, we're seeing right now.
Look at this, Clix, Yamzo, Batman Booga. Little update for you guys at home. They are very much safe in the zone. Muzz, Rise, and Jeffco not too far off for them as well. Just putting pressure in. This is a team that actually needs the pressure, right? 200 above. That's a spot that you don't necessarily feel comfortable in as a trio. Edits coming in. Muzz and crew want to do what they do best. Let's take a box fight. They can force one.
Yeah. But not anywhere near in desperate need of those materials, but you can look at the count overall.
Looking at quick.
Just judging by that, if it keeps at this pace, how it's going from zone to zone, they will eventually need some sort of a refresh to replenish some of those materials as Possess finally gets caught out on the outside of zone. That's Rapid who gets credit for that elimination. They're first of the game as a trio, but they're still making sure to remain proactive. Almost 400 damage above the threshold. Just waiting these next couple seconds, seeing where the zone goes before they make that quick move.
Snakes, Oreo, still the team that have a little bit of high ground right now, and it is gonna pull towards the mountain. Okay, so this is gonna shake things up here.
Cold, Ritual,
might see what I've been asking for: a fight for height, The mountains are in play. What a find right here. What just happened? Someone lurking behind the boss of Cold Ritual and Peterbot. There it is. That's the 10th elimination. Meanwhile,
Muzz
Rising
Yapko. Muzz just got
they
knocked.
weren't comfortable where they were standing before. In they go. Muzz is down. Can they save him? They should be able to, but that wall is open. They have to get in. Oh my gosh. Luckily, the teams that start to look in focus a little late, but no. Down he goes. The damage has been done.
It's a big loss to the team. 3-time champion. But at least it was at a sacrifice. Able to get damage before going down. 188 above the threshold. Trying to ease the stresses that the team is going through as we're trying to make our way up and over this mountain.
There's Cold Ritual, Peterbot.
On the other side of Foxy, Cold, Peterbot, Ritual
pushed.
being smushed, forced down low to the low ground, but a situation that we know they can thrive in, especially being 1,000 above the damage threshold. 21 seconds,
Yamzu
next
just
over
got a knock.
himself, and that's exactly what they're waiting for.
Good.
I'll be honest, they had way too much material to play low ground. I think they're going to be looking for height. Kanata, Rapid, and Bolts are already up here. They're going to be the first to go ahead and try to contest, and they didn't even
Snakes and Oreo.
take Oreo or Snakes to high ground. They just made
took
their
out
own
Peterbot.
build, so look at what it's cost
Puga
them.
just-
Plenty of material.
Puga
Meanwhile,
just got
Cold
it.
Ritual and
Took
Peterbot,
out
though,
Peterbot.
things start to go south for them down on the low ground. Peterbot finds himself down again. This is the second
He's
time
getting
now,
rezzed.
but he is just knocked. Luckily, the save comes in here. There goes the pickup. The splash a little early, but
This game
he's back
5
in the
and 6.
running here now. I think all attempts at high ground might be put on balls now. Japco and Rise
Mama,
here.
I'm not.
Looking
My
to read
fault.
the
It's
zone
on
up.
there, but like
They
you
want to get
could.
up and off this low ground into the safety.
I mean,
they're
soon.
below the surge again. Oh, this is tough.
I forgot that.
Yeah, very
I
tough
was on
situation
the
for them, but they're just waiting for the zone to open up, make their way on the right side. Only 37 damage. One shot is all it really takes. The longer it takes them to actually go for that shot, 67, falling further and further below that damage threshold, but they're trying to be the team in the front of that chase. That way any team behind them gives them ample opportunity to go for those shots. Peterbot is officially back on up. That revive is going to be
Peterbot's up.
successful. Him, Cold, and Ritual still 1,000 above the damage threshold. 10 eliminations so far. They find a knock onto Encrypted. Wasn't theirs, but they'll take it nonetheless. Sales is going to go ahead and meet him on the other side.
Booga's there.
Back-to-back eliminations. Now Booga in our sight, and Booga was the one who originally got that knock onto Peterbot.
I was going to say, these eliminations are huge, right? That's the siphon that keeps ticking here while you try to take these fights. It's the refreshes that keep the mats up
Where's
because they're
Glitch
playing
just
this,
got a knock.
this almost
Batman Booga
high
just got a
ground, if you will.
kill.
It's going
They
off
just took out
the
Scare
mountain
and
here, so
Burr.
they are literally
They're still
floating in the air right now. Meanwhile, Yamzo, Batman, Booga, Clicks, we haven't even saw what's been going on with this team, but the story
They got 3
developing
kills.
here on the low ground, they seem to have things completely under control right now. And up top, I think Kanata, Rapid, and Bolts are running out of mats here. Things are going to start getting desperate for the high ground teams.
Rise
is still in this game, though, keeping on the points growing for this trio now. This is the clutch that you expect of a player like Rise here. Really time to shine for him now.
Hopefully Clicks,
Behind him
if
is
Clicks can
second
win
place,
this
the ones
would
that
be
are kind
so
of on
good
the
for
Mount
them.
leaderboard.
I
It's
hope they
Acorn,
can do it.
Agers and
I
Boyo, they have an
actually
opportunity
do.
to look up, but down
Adib
comes
just
Kanata
took out
trying to
Skater.
distract them. The whole fight's going to break down.
Cold.
Boyo scrambles around, finally
Cold, Adib
reunites with
just got
Agers. They have
Skater.
the strength and numbers that they're trying to use their advantage, and a big shot
Ritual
onto Kanata,
just took out
forcing
the
him to
Reds.
return, but he goes down. That's
Boyo just
Boyo
took
who's able
out
to get that
Kadada.
elimination. He was the
Oh
one who
my
actually
gosh.
replaced him on the team.
Boyo's just insane
Glitch,
right
Batman,
there,
Booga, and
really
Yamzu,
looking
they're
to
here.
fight right now. Meanwhile,
But they're
Yamzu,
trying to get
Batman,
down.
Booga go from low ground.
Sobo's going
up
up to height.
Starting to ask for more than they can handle
Sobo's
for
going
a
up to
second there,
height.
and Curve intake Shadow.
Oh,
are
shoot,
the team
Ritual.
that
Ritual
all
is
of a
so
sudden
low
find
right now.
themselves with security on the high ground. Meanwhile, Bolts and Rapid forced to fight this one out. Quanti, though,
Batman
6 volts
Booga
down.
just got
It's
another
all up to Rapid
elimination.
now. And look at this. All of our big name teams are starting
Rise
to
just got taken
crumble
out.
here under the pressure of the lobby. But Rapid has to find a little bit more. No materials for him.
Ritual.
Can he clutch something up? Can he
Batman
find
Booga
some
just
big
got
points
knocked,
here?
but
Top 6 now.
Clicks
still
was able to
working
get
up
the
lobby
elimination.
here.
They were able to
Has
rest,
to save
but
Batman.
they might
Booga,
get
what a
pushed.
save right here. This is going to put them right back in the game.
Oh no.
Oh no, a full-on collapse though. It's Agers and Acorn who seem to have answered the call here. They just sent down Clicks and his entire trio. They are going to be one of the first, Jacob, to hit 400 points. Who seem to have... Oh no, a full-on collapse though. It's Agers and his entire trio.
That man Booga
Nick
still alive?
just continuously steamrolling. Very
That
few
Mood
healthy
just got
teams.
killed by
One of them's
Rapid.
gonna be round below,
Oh,
and it's Cold with
oh,
them
Click.
facing off. That's a
Oh
whole
my
nother
God,
trio
Peter
trying to
Buck
enter
got
into the
took it
mix.
out.
Down goes Cold.
Ritual.
Peter Buck soon to follow. Ritual's by
Ritual
himself.
dead.
He meets that same fate. Vidil, Cooper, and Sphinx, a team we looked at to take them on, just did that.
Oh, look at this.
Quick's
Acorn
got
going for
bit
high
that
ground with
thing.
Acorn and Boyo there. Boyo.
Boyo just took
Of
out.
course he does. He's just that good. And that's going to be a great siphon to keep him in the game.
Agers,
Meanwhile,
oh my God,
put
Agers
so much pressure on
got
his shoulders
cracked.
here to
He's
have to
6
clutch one
HP.
out as Boyo
Boyo
falls
died.
to the pressure of the zone, the shot that came in, 9 HP, no heals left, but still a top 3 performance is something to be proud of. Curve and Shadow have managed to hold this high ground. Agers is probably
Agers
giving
dead.
the win away now to Cooper, Vidil, and Sphinx for another dub here. Can they do this in a 3v2 situation?
It all depends on the heals, but it doesn't look
Oh,
like it
no.
happening. Cooper gets dropped. Sphinx doing what he can to take down Shadow, and that is going to be 11 eliminations for them. That is going to be their second win of the day in Game 5.
And was that back-to-back, by the way? They just came off of Game 4, Victor Royale with 7 eliminations, and all of a sudden now, I think I counted about 11 or so on the tally there. Things really starting to heat up now for Vidil, Cooper, and Sphinx from the bottom of the barrel all the way on up to the top. They are continuing to improve game after game. That was just game number 5, though, and talk about a fun mix-up for them there. And, you know, it really didn't look like it was going to go their way. Like, this fight right here was so scrappy, right? Anything could have happened.
Yeah, and there was Sphinx. He was going to be the first one going up, distracted, dealt a lot of damage, forcing Shadow into that spot where they were able to easily pick up that victory royale. The first team on the day to win 2 games. And what do you guys think of that, Zeke, Kelly, and Vivid?
I got a case of the vapors. This is correct. The back-to-back, the deal, look right here, the deal. The back-to-back, what in the world? What is NA doing today? Kelly, I thought EU was crazy, and Vidil, Cooper, and Sphinx said, hold on.
Oh.
We're the best region, Zeke. Let's get a little back-to-back action. What in the world? 11 elims as well. These guys are climbing
edit
the
it?
standings.
I never edited a
This,
replay.
this is gonna come down. We
never
still have
had
6
to.
more games
I don't
tomorrow,
remember.
Kelly. I don't know. I'm gonna faint. I'm about to pass out.
Okay, well, while you pass out, we'll talk about this incredible run that we
Okay.
got to see from Vidil, Cooper, and Sphinx. What a I mean,
What?
They had a slow start, right? But when you
I think you
have
have to save it.
back-to-back victory royales, it
I don't
doesn't
know if
matter
it is
how
or
you
not.
start the day.
I
It
think
matters
you-
how
it's not-
you
it's
end
not
it.
saved yet,
And
I
they
don't-
did such an incredible job on the low ground. And really, it was so much chaos, Vivid, happening between the low and mid ground. We saw so many teams jumping for height, trying to steal it away, getting punished for it. And instead, Cooper, Vidil, Sphinx, they stay low. They're able to clean up everyone else. And that's why they
I
were
don't
able to
know,
claim
man.
that VR.
I never had.
Yeah,
I
it's
never
actually
did.
pretty
I
similar
never
to the
did it.
last game they just won as well. Game number 4, right? It's just like kind of like a 3v3v3. One team in the middle, one team on the high ground right there. Of course, it was a little different this game because we lost some of the trios up top, but just seems like they have so much control over both the teams that are above them, applying the pressure at the right time, kind of making them fight above them before they actually get involved. Just super, super well played. They have that timing down so well because they've been playing that low ground all season.
Just disgusting. We are watching peak Fortnite right now, and we do want to continue the conversation because there's only a single game left to go. But first, I know, a break. When we return, we'll put this on, we'll wrap this in a big bow because we have 1 game left to go before we close out day number 1. So don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back.
These games are crazy.
Welcome back. One game left to go. We call day one done. And so much has transpired. But Deal, Cooper Sphinx, they got themselves the victory out in game number 5. But that's not the scary thing. The scary thing is the standings. As we pull these up, Kelly, what stands out to you?
That Ritual, Cold, and Peterbot, even though they went down for them somewhat early, 4th place, they have actually jumped up into 2nd place right now. They have yet to get a top 3, and yet they have 46 eliminations. They are just a stone's throw away from Agers, Acorn, and Poyo.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty much been the chase for this trio, right? I mean, they were behind after game number 3, they were behind 70 points. And then after game number 4, they're behind 60 points. And now after game number 5, 40 points. They continue to close the gap time and time again. And honestly, this game was wild. I went ahead and looked at the stats, and this is actually a trio with the most storm damage taken. Like, they were just chilling in the storm. They feel very, very comfortable fighting out there, and for some reason they would just kept fighting teams throughout the entirety of the early and the middle game. Even, you know, some reses happened to come in between. Just crazy stuff.
To have that game start with Peterbot getting knocked by G Money, and then they're able to get the revive, they somehow convert that into being 1700 damage above Storm. And they just don't slow down the entire time. They were just laying down so much damage. Putting the Mythic AR in Peterbot's hands should be criminal. But Cold Ritual and Peterbot, you know that they want that win. They are elimination heavy. We know that eliminations are worth more in the Major 1 finals. So that's why we see that although they don't even have a top 3 performance, they're still able to be at the top of our leaderboard. But they want the VR.
They do, right, Kelly? And I love you kind of call that out. Maybe you've not been following, but the fact that we've raised those points per elimination by even just that little bit, that tiny little margin, it's enough for Peterbot to now have found himself in 2nd place, and they still haven't had that game that we're looking for them to have. They still have not had that victory royale, and this is what's going down. Like, unbelievably insane. Now, to turn attention to that 1st place team, though, Agers, Acorn, and Poyo, they are still holding it down, right? They have not given up this 1st place spot in the first 5 games, and now we have 1 left to go. This is crazy.
I mean, Poyo, you know, global champion, absolutely incredible fragger along with Agers here. And Acorn lauded as one of the smartest players in Fortnite, and he's definitely showcasing that today.
And Poyo just looks like a mechanical. He looked like the most mechanical player out there. Some of the eliminations that he was able to find through some of this end game was absolutely insane. They're doing so well, but I gotta tell you, they probably are like, wow, like, we're doing really well, like, all every game's been good. And then they look at the leaderboard and it's just like they like wipe the sweat off the floors. They're how close to us? Like what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like, how
last
are
game
they
about to start.
that close to us? I mean, they seriously look like they've been the best trio on the day for sure. But it's got to be super, super worrisome that Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual are kind of closing that gap.
Dude, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, right? And for, like, obviously, again, because we have 2 spots, if you're Poyo, you're thinking like, it's scary you're catching up, but as long as we keep doing what we're doing, dude, we're gonna lock our spot too, you know? Like,
yeah.
If that was how we conclude Major 1, to have Poyo and Peterbot in, like, separately lock spots for globals, that would be insane. But listen, this is it, okay?
Ow.
1 game left to go, and then we close out day 1, then we VOD review, and we come back for day number 2. With that being said, one last ride in NA. Monster D Face and the 6-foot phenom, Jacob PR. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Zeke. Finally putting some respect on my name, but Monster, I gotta say, time truly does fly when you're having fun. Just watching some Fortnite with a great friend.
Yeah, definitely. And Zeke over there counting the chickens before they hatch. We still got a whole day tomorrow as well. The competition is getting very close. I'm just glancing over at the leaderboard. I can't believe we even have the great Muzz, Japcon Rise up there in this conversation right now. So let's jump on this battle bus one more time for game number 6.
if you look at some of the players at the top of the list where the elimination leaderboard was formerly always dominated by Peterbot. Yes, he's in first, but everybody else was in reach. One elimination down Poyo, a couple eliminations down Agers. Yap goes in the mix, and this just goes to show how close this actually is going into the last game of the day.
Yeah, definitely is, and we have been harping on the fact that Peterbot had all those air quote bad games. We're starting to see the good games come out. The 13 eliminations, the 12 eliminations, the high placing points, and it could just be that they figured out the secret sauce. Beat those teams in the early game around them, farm up those big eliminations and those points, and then take your time through the end game. If that's the formula right now that's going to send them to the globals, I mean, we could be seeing the writing on the wall right now nice and early. I am very interested to see what is going so well, though, for Agers, Acorn, and Poyo. They just seem to have such a sound strategy, right? As things are all falling into place for them.
Oof. As soon as we tune in, Chimp already getting his hands dirty, gets that first elimination onto Osid. You can see him kind of converging, moving around, just not really wanting to let those two players get too far away, trying to disengage, especially since they know how weak Seek actually is. In the bush or not, they're going to find him. And there goes the second elimination already. And this is where it's just really going to get tough for them.
This is big, too, because Magic Mosses is obviously, you know, one of the places that Peterbot's team has rotated into. We've seen Kanata's team rotate down here occasionally as well. Like, this is just such a point of attraction given how contested it's been all day. So a quick fight here. It's going to change up the dynamic a little bit. Cold, Ritual, and Peterbot, we've already know that Flooded Frogs is all their territory. No one's come even close to contesting them or any of their routes. And it's crazy. Last game really showed that even when things go bad for them, you know, there's so much extra loot on the outside of the map that Peterbot was able to just like, hey, it's all good. Like, let's just go farm the other stuff we kind of left behind. So such a strong drop.
Yeah, just kind of the awareness, kind of memorize it. But you wanted to see what they're doing in the early game. Peterbot, Acorn, Poyo, night shifts for us. And you can see that they're the only trio who have all won FNCS core. Just going to show that they have the experience. And it's through different metas as well. And I think that's what they're kind of using. You have one of the best IGLs in the game, two of the best surrounding players as well in Agers and Poyo. And then they have a chip on their shoulder. I was talking about it during the break. Peterbot has went through every single one of these team members, taking Agers' spot on that Cold and Ritual roster. Acorn getting his teammates stolen away in Cold and getting dropped by Peterbot to go to that team. And then Poyo, you know the story, from global champions to now on a whole nother team. This is more than just a good game for them. I feel like this is a story in its own right, building up with them in first place.
And to have such a seasoned team, right? You saw the statistic right there. What a W stat. Every player there has experienced what it takes to be a champion. I was talking about how Ritual could have been the missing link for the Peterbot and Cold success story, because what we saw is a lot of what seemed to be nerves kicking in certain moments, right? Where he was falling kind of early on. Maybe now he's kind of got his footing, and tomorrow's going to be absolutely telling, but there is still this game and then 6 more ahead of us before we crown a champion.
Kind of looking around the lobby, you see a couple more teams got a little bit more aggressive in their early game strategies, with the back-to-back winners, Cooper, Vidal, Sphinx, kind of sticking to what they know best. They spread out very, very early, trying to cover more ground. As soon as they see a team that they can try to take advantage of, they immediately move over in that direction. More times than not, they have their eyes in the hopeful heights direction, knowing that's one of the contested drops, especially if they don't see any eliminations in the feed.
I know Elam's down, but hold up. Tony picking up a quick finish now onto Aaron. It's a fight for the mountain right now. It's a great spot to farm a little Surge, let alone take a full fight, so things work out well.
Better late than never to know, even though the gap for first place is just continuing to grow for a lot of these other teams. There's a whole day tomorrow. And then you got into the fact the prize money that moves down each and every one of those placements. That a lot of these guys are trying to hunt for the good practice.
I'm seeing if they can win
and those 2 spots to the championship.
Hope they can win there.
Just on the move right now. Clicks, Batman, Booga, and Yamzo. 5th place right now. Top 5 team. We all knew it. We all expected it. This is my team that was my favorite, honestly, to take the competition, but Man, oh man, the zones have played a factor. That game one could have gone any way, right? Like every round has really had its own unique story to tell. And still, they are very much in the race right now. We saw Vidil Sphinx and Cooper bounce back with a 70+ point game. That can happen to anyone who picks up a nice victory out. Look at the collapse right now, though. On to Clixie here. Clix, the first to initiate. Yamzo to follow up here from the side now. And it is not looking good for him, but the teammates are starting to come in. Batman Booga cuts them off. And this is just a high-level fight looking to go down right now.
Yeah, immediately the team wasted no time just trying to converge back onto Clixie's location. And this is where they kind of spread up, take the different angles, just try to funnel them into their position. You got Yamzo taking the tops, Batman Booga taking an additional angle, and just Clix mowing down Clixie. No shields left, forced to back up. Yamzo takes a shot. He's forced to reposition as well, reassess the situation overall. They got to be careful, because you know at any moment, Peterbot Cold and Ritual, not too far away, north of Flooded Frogs, can roll in and try to third-party this.
I like how Yamzo thought about drinking the mini for 6 shield, and he's like, nah, not worth it. Let's just get out. Let's just get out. We could splash as a team. We could fish up some shield fish. There's so many better ways, I guess, they could utilize their resources. Meanwhile, the real Booga, Threats and Aviv have made their way to that mountain where Tony and company were, and it seems like Aviv's going to find himself a nice little pickup right here. And they are just deleting that poor team. Nurface sent back to the lobby. His tournament run for the evening is over. Edgy, Quanti, and Bila. Okay, here's a team that honestly I think you have to be careful, man. Nut, Liam, and Fredbot thrive in these early game fights. We've seen them show up and show out. I'm giving them all the credit and all the respect. If nothing else, they know how to fight.
Yeah, it's just a peculiar situation Edgy, Bila, and Quanti find themselves in because they land at Shogun Solitude uncontested. They don't really have a lot of time and a lot of opportunities to actually get surged. So as soon as they're done looting and leave that actual POI, they almost immediately have to put themselves in this position where they're close up or far away to try to get surged.
The Reds
feed,
here.
you did see Threats get elimination on the Creon. You immediately pushes over, cleaned that one up. Aviv and Booga closed the distance as well. Or there's one elimination, 2 more to follow, especially since they know just a sliver of HP remains on a Joji.
Booga trying to get.
Let's see it play out here. Joji.
Jojo.
Super damage should be wraps. There it is. I was gonna say for a second there, did a V fall, but no. It's Joji getting sent out. Look how fast lobby's getting cut down now. 85 players remaining here. 3 teams fully wiped out. Plenty fractured now. Japco, Muzz, and Rise seem to be pretty hurt right now. They play in Deep Storm here, but the collapse in onto level 1 Crook. They want to take the fight. Japco's going to be the first to initiate here. Rise has got the backside. Great tag from Japco, but both sides get hit a little bit there. Only shotgun as well, so tougher to play with, I would say.
Yeah, if you can kind of keep your distance, definitely packs a punch, especially since you know there's only 2. Crook with the Typhoon Blade trying to create some distance, but has no choice but to leave Kicks there, who jumps right on top of the full trio. He gets taken down. I feel like maybe a necessary sacrifice so that way his teammate can try to disengage, but then if you look at the mini-map, there's a whole trio moving into his location, a whole 3rd trio moving, shadowing Rise, Muzz, and Yapko that they need to be careful for, because finally the shots come in and there goes a little bit of damage.
There's way too much teams here now. Looks like Polis and Listen have already decided they're committing to this fight here. Japco, Rise, and Muzz. This is their worst case scenario right now, but Japco fired up right now. Sits one down. The zone credit for the other. Hold up. This is good. Defense has to come out from Rise now. They will get the pickup here shortly. There it is. They're right back in this game. That could have gone really bad for them, but now the question lingers. Is this a huge setback for the leading Japco, Muzz, and Rise here?
Yeah, especially since you got to consider the fact now they're going to have a little
6
bit of a journey towards the northeastern side of the map overall. So what little resources they do have, probably going to be forced out in this situation. Yep, they're going to recycle. Oh, I thought if they had a water sprite, they could have recycled it there, but it does look like they're just going to continue rotating back to their original POI where they know a lot of that loot was left behind. Very, very similar to what you were talking about with Peterbot in our previous games.
Clixie, Yamzo, Batman Booga sticking to the outskirts here. This is the furthest west zone we've seen for an early game. Seems to be playing into their favor at the moment, but do they have wind of this squad swimming their way around? I am curious.
No.
A little update with Cooper here. Couple water sprites in hand. Zone relatively close.
You got to see his teammates just grabbing hold of that bridge. Position's going to be crucial in these next couple of games, or this last game, I should say. Especially one of those teams inside of the top 5 where you really started to kind of break away from the rest of the pack. You want to continue to do that, close out the day. Probably much easier said than done, as you kind of spoke about it. A little bit of a different zone than what we've seen throughout the 5 previous games beforehand. Some immediately trying to adapt and use that to their advantage. Grab position, beat a lot of these other teams to the zone, and then be able to look back.
Really bad right now. Clicks, Yamzo, Batman Booga have a team right above them and one trailing from inside the storm here. Not sure they actually know just yet. There it is. Shots open up onto Batman Booga.
Batman Booga's trying to get away.
And Scare, who have the high ground and the advantage, but they let Booga slip away.
Batman Booga got away.
Batman Booga's gonna be happy about that one. That could have gone really downhill for them.
Yeah, they're gonna have to rotate too. You saw they weren't necessarily in zone, but knowing that full trio took the north part altogether, they're either gonna try to parallel them or wait a couple of seconds here for it to kind of close, see where the next zone goes. And this is their opportunity. Now that that team kind of giving away their position by trying to take a chance on getting shots on the Batman Booga, they're able to kind of hunt back, but you see a whole nother trio that rotated through the dead side. There's one to potentially cut off Clicks, Batman Booga, and Yamzo on that rotation.
I think that was Quanti's team that we had Saul. They seem to be favoring the water side, but Victor V, Skittles, and Chimp right now taking on Curly, Nox, and Virgo. I saw some people thinking that Curly and Victor V look related. Well, there you go. You get the standoff now if you've been looking forward to the fight.
Considering from their drop spot over on the far east side of the map, they're very, very quick to rotate this time around, really not wanting to get caught off guard, lose track of time.
Where's Cole?
Because you know as well as I do, when the zone pulls this far, those edges of the zone become so stacked. It's just a risk in its own right to rotate in that direction. We talked about it going towards the north. Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual taking a whole different approach to the 6th and final game. But we're even typically fighting for serves. They're just content setting up a surge tower and getting shots just like that.
But they have 0 eliminations. This is very different comparatively to the other games. Every other game they've had early game eliminations, and they didn't have to base down. This is the first time we've seen them with no eliminations, but fully based down, sitting on plenty of heals inside the base. So seems like they want to get a dub under their belt here.
They need to.
Rightfully so for day one.
Please.
Team like that.
They need to get a
dub. Victory by now, so we'll see if their time is near.
Needs to get a dub, bro.
Rajapko and Muzz.
What are you
Couldn't
doing?
believe what we saw from them earlier. Seemed like everything was going downhill for a moment there.
You see how high they went? That's that trick on the geyser. It gets you much higher than launch pads. It gets you much higher than other geysers around the map. You just kind of float, wait for it. It'll shoot you up again, and that's going to allow them. Remember how deep in zone they actually were? This one geyser is going to allow them not only to get towards the edge of zone, but so far in, they're going to be able to pick and choose where they actually want, depending on where other teams are actually at.
Yeah, it seems like they've already got their minds cut out for them. The markers are out. They want a little bit.
They needed
positioning.
I
they're
hope
going to go up north. Is that another geyser there?
Get a win
Seems
this
like
game. They have to
set themselves up for
They
something.
can get a win. That'd be crazy. I watched
Nada,
Mr. Savage and
bolts,
Mongrel and
400 above the surge in a bit of a box fight here. This is against Victor V's trio in the storm here. Seems to be getting dragged out, and they've brought in Curly and Virgo's team. So this is a 3-team affair now, all unfolding here. Curly, Virgo, and Noxy actually need this more than any other team. Only 100 above. Likely started because they needed the fight. Lingering about.
They need to try to get a couple on these, or at least have good.
The zone beginning to close in. You can kind of see the throwing the orbs on out, just in case. But Chimp's the one that gets
they want to get a lot of
great shot by Rapid. Kind of picking and choosing, trying to upgrade the loadout.
I want them to get a win, but if they're not going to get a lot of points
so risky. So almost everybody there simultaneously choosing to disperse. You can
No
find
need.
what you want at the later day. Curly, Noxy, Virgo, going to be one of the last ones to kind of rotate on out. But timing is of the essence if this continues to pull towards the east. You don't want to be one of the last teams when that 50-50 pull comes.
I saw on the feed there too for a second, Acorn and Boyo pick up some eliminations during that surge warning. Let's not forget, with them being in the lead, the more elims they get, the harder it's going to be for teams to close the gap. They're going to have to make a mistake at this point. Jumping back with that team. Let's take a look at what situation they found themselves in here. So, seems like they've marched their way through the brutal boxcars. They found themselves on a plethora of shieldfish here now, and they want to bring all these goods to the zone with them.
Just throwing those med kits ahead. Yeah, I was say you can continue to cycle them in front of them, use them when they have to. 540 damage because they're early game wandering around the map, able to get what they need, plus those 2 eliminations. Cooper for deal. Below surge, something that we haven't really seen from them other than in the early portions of game 1. With back-to-back wins already, they don't want to start to lose this momentum before the day ends.
I was gonna say, are they gonna push that knock right there? There was one in the box. You kind of need it here. 53 above now, but the storm is also on its way here. So there's a lot of factors at play right now. And the pressure is on a performance, especially when you're up on the leaderboard, sitting comfortably the way they have been today. A little back and forth here.
Kind of targeting out the late rotation of Bucky, Okus, and Craze, kind of forcing them.
Oh,
right
clicks
next
on
to
island.
Acorn, Agers, and Poyo. One going under the bridge, one going
Clicks on
over
island.
around the map. You're seeing the proactivity. Clicks this time around, get
Yo,
the Wanderers and Medallion
stop
from the
playing,
Children's Arena
bro.
up above.
They
But
if
find
they get
themselves
they have the island, bro.
barely
They
inside
need
of
to
the
get some
Storm Surge
tags. They
threshold
get some
with
tags,
90
but they're
damage.
set. They don't have any eliminations. That's
I
the
want to see what
problem.
Clicks could do with this. Everyone's had their chance to shine. All the big name
Please,
trios
bro.
have picked it up at least once.
Oh, he just tagged.
Now Iamzo, Batman, Booga, and Clicks get
Come
their
on,
turn
guys.
at bat here.
You guys got this, bro.
281 points is
Lock
our
in.
first place seeded team right now. An end game will set them up for a running shot at globals here in day number 2. Kanata, Rapid, and Bolts, though, we got to jump in with this fight here. Another edge zone battle. Seems to be dragged out. 2 eliminations now, kind of setting themselves up, but still, they haven't managed to really topple Noxy and Curly's trio here.
Believe in
Everybody's
yourself.
kind
You
of
guys got
slow
this.
rotating out of that
Iamzo
side.
just got
I saw
elimination.
Skittles in the distance as well.
We'll say Iamzo just got a dock.
Just really timing is of the essence. A lot of these other teams
on,
kind of
guys.
beating them to the punch, just going all the way towards the east. Whiffy Wharf just outside of the zone. And there's potential monster that is a whole gulf of water there
I
on
believe
that
in you
side of the
guys.
map that we could potentially see inside of the
W,
zone.
please,
The
gotta
Storm Surge
eliminate your
activates
victory.
yet again.
Gotta
Bolts Kanata Rapid trying to stay ahead of the curve while maintaining their rotation speed.
I mean, what is nice about this, though, is that we're getting a completely different terrain, right? Like zone pulling kind of north, sort of west, right? Really mixing things up. We've seen so much center and kind of eastern zone pulls, so
I'll be right
I'm
back.
excited about this, giving other teams a fair chance, if you will, at zone kind of playing into the area for an end game. Video and Sphinx, though, still trying to manage to find their footing here in the lobby. Look at this eastern congestion happening right now. It's almost like they've had zone all day and no one knows how to rotate anymore. They're all on top of one another here, and it looks pretty bad.
Fortnite just said, but wait, there's more. As it continues to move towards the north, there goes that open water that I was talking about. It finally now in zone, forcing these teams to really think in and outside of the box and be proactive in terms of their rotation, whether they're late or one of the first ones there. That perfect position becomes more and more impactful. It's called Peterbot Ritual. In their line of sight is the only team above them in the leaderboard. That's Muzz, Rise, and Yapko. And you can see the trio of Peterbot don't even all have the Void Mask. One of them has a kinetic blade, so it's going to be just a little bit more difficult for them to rotate in tandem.
Trade's coming out, though, from the bad peak there. Teams on high ground, Veer, Scare, and Sonetto off in the distance. See how long that's going to hold here. Cole, Peterbot, and Ritual on foot right now, making their way through. It's the most we've seen them actually use their Void Only Mask this early into a game like this. 6 charges left, so somehow below the Surge. This is the pressure of sitting in a Surge base, right? Changing up their strategy, not going for box fights, and now they're almost forced into a full-on fight here. It's gonna be Chimp and Dash who might be chosen, if you will, but these are completely different teams.
Yeah, for one, it's a blessing. Another one, it's a curse. 137 below. That switch up of strategy overall in this final game. Looking to force their hand. Not really finding any opportunities yet. There's plenty of potential all around. Cole trying to hop on top. Cone's on to Dash. That goes a big shot. Making sure Dash feels that one in the morning. But Oliver OG going for revenge with a turn and burn. Cole takes down yet another one while he makes his way in towards zone. Reunites with the team. They did more than enough to get themselves above the damage threshold.
Peterbot fans can thank Oliver OG for that one. That's a saving grace right there. So much damage just handed to them. And the material, let's not forget, they had a lot of loot going. That is a big, big come up right here. Look at the zone go. Further west, it pulls, and further north, things are just changing ever so slightly here in this last game of the day, really keeping us on our toes. Another elimination, this time onto Badil and Sphinx. That's a huge set of eliminations now.
That guy.
That's when they need it
What's
most. You
happening?
see
5
Rituals
people
down, separated.
in. Thanks, appreciate
That's
you
a
guys.
trio. For two of the most mechanically skilled players still left alive. There's hope yet in this game as they're immediately
Last
trying
charge.
to rotate across that open water. You mentioned it yourself, the last charge. Now they're really going to have to dig deep to really make something up this game.
This is bad. This is a very tough spot to be in, but it's great for players like Jabco, Muzz, and Rise right now who have a chance to come back here. But look at this, Jabco caught up in a spider's web there, burning through a couple charges, and it looks like the spot is bad. Muzz lands and gets just seemingly deleted for his troubles. A fresh charge has to come out now. Rise just waiting for his trio. Jabco is far off though. Just gonna have to play this one out by himself. And some of our top teams looking really bad here now in the last game, but look who's not. Boyo, Acorn, Ager, so far so good for them.
Yeah, they got a quarter of the placement points so far into the top 8. That's going to be half.
They're running
They're
away.
still making their way up. Yamzo, Clicks, Batman, Booga, they're the ones that are highest elevated for now, but 8 zone, some would say just a little bit too early as Yapko goes down as well. That's Bucky who gets credit for that elimination. The trio that has been so far in first place, having such impressive performances, is just down to Rise.
Void Onimask really changing the dynamic right now. You saw when they glanced over to where the zone's going, there's not a single build over there because the Void Onimask is allowing teams to all transport their way across. This is going to be a very interesting endgame now for Clix and team because the fact that they went for high, they committed a lot of mats here. Boyo, Acorn, Ager is one of the first to build up a base in the opposite side. As I'm kind of teeing it up, you're watching it all play out in real time. Acorn, Ager, and Boyo want to have the monstrous lead right now, and they're willing to fight for it.
Yeah, perfect zone. They pull to the front side. They immediately build up and target out second height. Really no attention being paid to everybody else, but down goes Cold. Peterbot now stuck by himself. If he wants to remain in contention in that second place, it's going to come down to him and some big clutches, but he orbs just a little bit too far. Lucky for him, he does have the splashes. Quickly moving, making his way in towards zone as he covers up the rest of the lobby, making their way on over, making it harder and harder for Peterbot to try to survive.
Cooper still alive as well down in the low ground, looking to play the zone for a little bit here. He's looking for an angle, an opportunity to get inside. There he goes. He dashes across. Couple of clutches coming up now for Peterbot as well. Pay close attention to the high ground teams though, as Agers, Acorn, and Boyo seemingly have this game in a headlock right now.
That was a big shot of the trio rotating nearby, looking for a follow-up, knows exactly where they went, cuts to the other side. Both Cooper feeling the pain, but Peterbot finally goes down. That's Rapid who gets credit for that elimination. Kanata on the other side trying to break into the box on Cooper. Doesn't get opportunity, so he goes around. Cooper just trying to hold on. There goes the play from Kanata. Peekaboo, I see you as he gets the elimination. Clicks Yamzo. Batman Booga steamrolling on the other side.
This is exactly what they need to. All that immediate competition down and out. The runway's open here for teams to go ahead and climb their way on out. Down goes Kanata as well. More competition crossed out. Top 5 here for players like Clix, Batman, Booga, Yamzo. This is their time to get revenge. But first, you have to clear up Booga of even threats. They've been the wild card, the wild factor. back there in the low ground, and they're cooking
Watch out,
right
low ground
here.
on top.
Such a quiet
Loyal
game going
agents
under the
and
radar, but hey,
Acorn
maybe
still
that's
on
just
top.
how they like it. They continue to steamroll team
Yonzo,
after team after
Booga,
team as Encrypted goes down.
everyone.
Death feels the pain. Solo's going to be left, but they
Holy
cleaned that one
moly.
up as well. Booga threats in a beam.
Holy
This is a
stuff.
new
Polo
chapter for
still
them
out.
as they close out the day.
You couldn't count them out
Blink.
either. The vets just
Blink.
showing up
Batman
in
Booga.
extreme force here,
Yamzo
but
trying to get
give it a
in Booga's
second.
box.
Clicks, Yamzo, Batman, Booga.
Come on.
We know Clicks has the medallion. Look at him go
Blink,
here.
bro.
Zipping back and forth, keeping teams on their toes. It's a 3v3v3
Yamzo
situation.
got
No
the
mistakes can be made.
elimination.
Clicks
Three
in a little
teams
bit of
left.
storm here. Has to be
Three
careful
trios.
though. So he's got no
9
mats.
players.
It's all gonna come down to this monster
trios
shot right
now.
here. If he can land, his
Yamzo just
teammates are
went out.
down and out.
Batman just went down. Oh,
A
shoot.
lot of pressure. They're trusting him. He has the medallion, but
Oh,
don't
no.
take so many ticks to the zone.
Blink,
Barely makes it
blink.
in on the other side. Zero builds. He's looking for scraps. He's looking for somebody that he can catch off guard. Here's one team below him. No, there's a full trio above. He's going to go up to try to buy himself just a little bit more time. Luckily for him, he doesn't even get scratched, forcing the trio from up above.
This is
to catch
crazy.
the trio down below.
Bro, Click
This is crazy. He's got to keep sprinting so he can't be seen. No, the water is his worst enemy. And look at him go. Just trying to hold on to a little bit more. He is the pressure that no one sees
Oh my
coming.
God.
A great tag
Oh
there.
my
Clicks
God.
can earn a little more points.
Oh,
And he is
no.
a disruptor to everyone in the lobby. 2v2
Holy
now.
moly,
Booga
almost
goes
won
up.
that.
It's up against Acorn. Beautiful tag there. Acorn
Third
is
place
down.
coming in for
Booga's got the
Clicks.
high ground. He's got a chance
Click's
to
got
bounce
the
back.
elimination on a beat.
2v1 situation. They're ready to drop down. They know they
2v1.
have this one in the bag.
2v1.
Acorns are trying to
Booga
take the other
versus
side.
Acorn.
Red's taking damage.
Red
Booga
said
as well.
Booga
But they have a
wins it.
strength in numbers,
The
a
last game,
history as a
Clicks
team, and they win the
punches up.
6th and final game of the day.
They can
So many
honestly
eliminations.
thank
Jack
Clicks
shut up.
for that
Peter Ball
W
went down.
right there.
Peter Ball was
What a
played.
performance by him.
Booga, the
Running back and forth, getting a knock on either side. If only he could have gotten the elimination points there, it'd be so much sweeter. However, what a game 6 that was. North America really keeping us on our toes. Take a look at the highlights. Booga threats and Aviv do it again. And they're right back in
with
it.
that final
Yeah, I
elimination.
said it. They were flying under the
Yonzo.
radar. They're in
Batman
contention.
Booga
I
gets
believe they
eliminated.
started that game in around 7th place, 229
Take that
points.
Julio
Look at where they
somehow.
ended. 350
He
points.
to
That was
tackle
almost over
Julio.
100 points for these guys.
Took out
14
Heat, too.
eliminations, nothing to look down upon. All of a sudden now they are right back into the conversation there. What a game 6 that was.
What a day. What a day it was. I think everybody's predictions in terms of getting them correctly on the spot went through a roller coaster of emotions. But that's only 6 games. Can you believe we have 6 more games tomorrow?
Yeah, that's right. We're going to have to see how it's going to play out, Jacob. From us here, though, we'll catch you guys tomorrow. With that, we're going to send it on over to the analysts to give us the scores.
Holy moly.
Thank you so much. 6-foot phenom, Jacob PR didn't break him, and I'm sad about that. And Monster Deface, you know, after that game, I feel like there's really only one thing that I could say, and that is Booga! Does it again, baby! Let's go, Booga! We back in here. We never left. Big Cheese of V threats. Y'all got yourselves a victory royale here on game number 6. Now, to do that at the end of the day, obviously, we have to hope they can carry that momentum into day number 2, but they still showed up. That's still a bunch of points, and paired up with the elims, we're in a really good spot.
Yeah, I really feel like Jacob put it best, where they've just been kind of flying under the radar all day. They have been in our top 10 since game 1, if I'm not mistaken, and they've proven time and time again that they are just a consistent trio. They don't necessarily go for those high elimination games unless everything goes well for them, and that is exactly what happened in the final game of today. Controlling that low ground, especially when the zone pulls the way that it does, Vivid, they've definitely earned all the kudos.
I mean, incredible stuff to kind of see them go out with a bang here on day number 1. And yeah, I mean, I kept looking at leader, but I was like, okay, they're kind of close enough, right? That one game could potentially happen. Game number 6 was that game. Big shout out to Booga Threats and Aviv right there. Clutched up 14 eliminations as well. Huge numbers.
Absolutely. Let's do it. Let's take a look at the standings.
I don't
Let's
want
see how
to.
things. I know it's gonna be scary and it's gonna be wild, but just bear with us, okay? Look
What?
at this lead, and I just
Holy.
want to say something here. because
thought Quick
Agers,
did so
Acorn, and
good.
Pollo have put on
Still.
such a showing in day number 1. Look at those placement
Wow.
points. Look at those elims. For all of last year, people looked down on Pollo and would say, "Oh, Pollo doesn't do much. It's all Peterbot. It's all Peterbot." And now it's Pollo who is looking down on the rest of this leaderboard, saying, "Hey, what's up?"
You know, it's really interesting that you say that, because I remember during the Global Championships last year that dialogue kind of got squashed, and I think it was actually something that Peterbot said himself, that Pollo is one of the best partners that you can have. The way that he is able to kind of just like follow someone else's lead, which in this case would be Acorns, and still be able to provide a ton of support and a ton of eliminations is what made him be the best partner for Peterbot. So I think Pollo has definitely had the praise that he deserves, but this is just showcasing it even more so, because, you know, you had Peterbot and Cold leave their previous partners of Acorn and Pollo, and to see them now in what they thought would be a better trio being 100 points ahead of second place, which is Ritual, Cold, and Peterbot. That is storytelling to a T. The script that you have written is doing numbers right now, Zeke. I'm very impressed.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it's gotta hone in on the eliminations though, right? I mean, first and foremost, right? Ritual, Cold, and Peterbot, and Agers, Acorn, and Pollo, both of them having 50 plus eliminations as a bunch of trios there. And as you can see, they're on the leaderboard, the second most on a team. It's going to be 34 over there. But yeah, I mean, that chase was kind of on for Peterbot, Ritual, and Cold throughout the day, right? They just, you know, like I mentioned before, 70, 60, and then 40 points. And now it's 90 points. So definitely faltered there in game number 6. I don't know what it was about this trio today, guys. I mean, they stayed in the conversation, right? They stayed towards the top of the leaderboard. But none of those games from them kind of felt like that's where they should have been on the leaderboard. You know, it was kind of like, you know, that was like an RA game for them. Maybe we have such high standards for this trio that since they're not like winning every game, it's like, oh man, that was a bad game for them. But I mean, second place going into day number 2, still pretty good.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like, you know, in a horror movie where the killer is slowly stalking the player or the individuals, but they're not running, they're not chasing, it's just a slow stalk until eventually they reach their victims. I feel like that could still be the case for Peterbot, Cold,
now
and
can you hear me?
Ritual,
Hello?
just slowly climbing up the leaderboard, slowly making their way.
Yeah.
But if there were to be a survivor, it would be Agers, Acorn, and Pollo.
Yeah, I again, you know, if with 2 spots, if they were the ones to walk away with those first 2 spots, that would just be unbelievable, right? And that's what we hope for. We hope for as we turn attention back to the standings. Clicks, dude, that last game, what you did in that last game, staying alive with that medallion, like in so many different situations, it's like with every step Clicks took, he should have been eliminated. He should have not been there. And yet he played spoiler to that last game. And to make it all the way into a 3rd place is crazy. Like, I love this coin and what it allows players to do. The skill expression ceiling is so high. And to see him put that together in those moments, you know he feels so amazing.
Yeah.
And it's also a great comparison to how other players have used that coin in a solo situation. But him with 4 HP, it wasn't necessarily, especially with it going over water, that he could jump into other people's boxes, stay in the back of zone. No, instead he just ran circles. He just ran around over and over and over again so that invisibility did not let up. And that honestly is what allowed him to stay alive. He even did get a knock, but wasn't able to get the full elimination. But that is the best performance that we have seen from this trio today. And I really, really hope that we get to see more of that going into day 2.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for Clicks, Bambuga, and Yamato, I feel like every single game where we kind of tune in. I mean, there were some games where like tuning in the mid game, it's like, oh wow, this looks like the best team in the playing field right now. Like they look like they're in a great spot. Then like a little bit later on in the game, it was like, oh wow, they're shambles. And I felt like they were always kind of fighting from the back foot whenever we were actually transitioning into the end game right there. So I think it'd probably be pretty easy for them to kind of pinpoint some of those moments throughout the game, get those VOD reviews in and kind of clean it up. But again, feel like they were always fighting on the back foot, having to clutch up as a trio. So picking up 6th place without really having a solid game, in my opinion, I think it's still pretty good. And I think it gives them hope for tomorrow to climb the leaderboard even further.
The race is close.
Definitely.
And as we look at these standings, one thing that kind of stands out to me, and it's kind of just like something small, it's kind of random. But the fact that all of the victory royales that we've had on the day are within that top 7. Like when I think back to earlier in EU, it was like 4 were in the top 10, right? And it's like that victory royale didn't always have enough. Like, you know, you could get a victory royale, but it wasn't enough to carry you and keep you in that top 10. And just look how close this is, right? Like, yeah, Agers, Acorn, Pollo are so far ahead, but look at 7th, right? All the way up to 3rd. That could still shift with a single game. So a single trio makes one mistake. And this top 7 looks different tomorrow.
Oh yeah, and we saw how many points Bugha of Even Threats were able to get into that final game. Almost what, 90, more than that even. So a lot of these things can shift. I do think, especially in NA, how many.
And this top 7 looks different tomorrow.
Oh yeah, and we saw how many points that could really be within contention. There is so many trios that come and show up and prove to everyone that they deserve to be here.
Yeah, I mean, throughout the day, right, a bunch of leaderboard changes in terms of how big that gap was towards the top. But at the end of it, Zeke, Pollo, Acorn, Agers, they did not give up. They were relentless. Now almost 100 points ahead of the rest of the competition after 6 games. I think the question is going to be, though, are they going to be able to hold on to that lead, kind of repeat that performance tomorrow?
Viv, that's the scary part, right? We've talked about a lot in the past. Some trios, they are day 1 teams. They start really strong on day 1, but they can't keep that momentum going into day number 2. Some trios are the opposite, right? Day 2, they come alive. It doesn't matter what day 1 was. Day 2, they just come back stronger than ever. Kelly, what do you think? I mean, with all of these crazy trios, again, being within, you know, points of each other, could Acorn, Agers, and Pollo be that team? Could they be the team that comes in tomorrow and holds that line? Could we see someone else just say, day 2 is our time, here we go?
Excluding their 13th place game, Agers, Acorn, and Pollo have placed top 4 in all the other games.
Wow.
So 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 2nd, and 1st. I think that they are currently on a run right now. I think that the momentum that they have from day 1 is definitely going to translate into day 2. I did say it earlier that Peterbot and Pollo are notoriously a day 2 team. Obviously, half of that is in the Acorn, Agers, and Pollo, so it'll be interesting to see if Peterbot is also able to carry that.
Yeah, I think tomorrow what I want to see out of the Peterbot trio there, we only really saw a hype presence for them in game number 1. And that was when they were a duo, Peterbot and Cold, right? They went for it then, and it was like after that, they weren't really ever up there. And I feel like they get so much respect on the higher gun when they are up there, right? Even that game number 1, they had presence up there. People could feel that they were in the lobby, and they held onto it for quite some time. But after that, even when they were making it into the end game, you know, granted, none of the games were kind of going smoothly. They were getting knocked off spawn. Sometimes there were reboots happening. Never really went for it again, and I'm not really sure why. Like maybe they just didn't like the way that it was looking. But I would like to see them kind of go up and challenge some of those high grounds.
Well, let's hope, because for now, we say goodbye. But what this means for these players to have a night to bot review, to come together as a trio and say what worked, what didn't work. Tomorrow, 2 spots going to the Global Championships later on are on the line. That's a big deal. There's also life-changing amounts of money on the line, which is also a big deal. So what will they bring to the table tomorrow? That's for us to find out tomorrow. With that being said, don't forget, before us is EU. They've got their own set of crazy games coming up. So if you like what you're seeing, go check them out. And of course, come back to us, the best region we know. Fortnite fam, thank you so much for hanging out with us and watching these unbelievable set of 6 games. Tomorrow, we're turning it up to 11, but at least we hope. Until tomorrow, as always, we love you. Keep yourself safe. We'll see you on that battle bus.
That was crazy, guys. Wix watching up for his team to stay in the place to be able to actually maybe have a chance tomorrow. It's just insane for them. It's insane. Guys, thank you for watching. Appreciate you for joining. Love you. Appreciate you, bro. Thank you for watching with Pasta. Bye.